Before listen, lock your door.
Subscribe for daily horror story.
First story.
My grandmother used to say, if you see a man with no face walking the ridgeline at dusk, don't follow him. That's not a man, it's the hollow that wears him. I didn't believe her until last October. It started with a weekend camping trip with my girlfriend, Leah. We were hiking the lesser-known side of the Pine Hollow Preserve, a part of Appalachia so rarely traveled that even park rangers don't patrol it anymore. Most trails were long gone, overgrown, or washed away. That's exactly what we were looking for: silence, seclusion, a break from our phones and the world. We pitched our tent near the site of an old logging town that had burned down in the 1930s. No houses left, just stone foundations swallowed by moss. Pine needles covered everything like a shroud. That first night was quiet, a little too quiet. No owls, no bugs, just wind through trees that didn't seem to move. Leah said she had a strange dream about someone watching her from just outside the tent. The next morning, I found footprints in the pine needles. Bare feet, long strides, toes splayed wide. One set I laughed it off. Could have been old, I said. But they hadn't been there the night before. I was sure of it. We packed up and hiked deeper into the valley, following an old service road. Late that afternoon, around golden hour, we found a small, dry clearing, surrounded by pines. It felt still, unnaturally still, but beautiful. That's when we saw him, at the top of the ridge, a man, walking slowly across the crest, silhouetted by the setting sun. He was tall, lanky, moving with odd jerks, his head tilted slightly, as if broken at the neck. At first, we waved, but he didn't respond. He just stopped and faced us. That's when I realized something was wrong. There was no face, not covered, not turned, just smooth skin where a face should have been. No features, just blank. Leah whispered, "What is that?" We turned away for only a moment to grab our bags. When we looked up, he was gone, not walked away. Gone, no sound, no motion. The ridge was empty. That night, we didn't sleep. The wind outside the tent kept shifting direction, circling us. At one point, Leah clutched my arm and whispered, "He's here." I thought she was dreaming, but then I heard it too. The sound of footsteps. Soft, deliberate, crunching pine needles, getting closer, then stopping. I unzipped the tent and aimed my flashlight outside. Nothing but the pine needles in front of the tent were pressed down, fresh footprints. One set bare. The next morning, we debated hiking out. Leah said we should leave everything behind and just run. I didn't want to panic, but deep down, I agreed. As we were packing, I found a scrap of parchment tucked under one of the rocks near our firing. It was old, yellowed, burned at the edges. There was a drawing on its charcoal, smeared but clearly the same man. Faceless beneath it, a single word, hollowed. We hiked out fast, not talking much, but the forest wasn't letting us go. Every path looped wrong. The sun felt like it was shifting places. Our compass spun twice and then settled backwards. Then we heard the whistle. Not bird-like, human, mocking close. It was coming from behind a thick grove of pines, and then we saw the man again, standing still, closer now. This time, he tilted his head backward, as if listening to something we couldn't hear. Then he raised his arms and turned slowly. Behind him, something rippled in the trees, like the forest bending around a second shape. But we saw nothing there, only distortion, like heat rising off pavement. We ran, branches tore our clothes. I dropped my map. We didn't stop until we heard the river. Real water, rushing, which meant we were near the trailhead. When we got to the car, Leah refused to speak. Only once we hit the main road did she say something. "He's not just wearing skin," she whispered. "He's wearing time." I asked what she meant. She just looked at me and said, "We've seen him before. That's why he knew us." I didn't understand until I checked my photos. There was a picture I don't remember taking of the ridge from behind us, as if I'd turned around and snapped it. In the background, just before the tree line, stood Leah and me, and behind us, a third figure, blurry, tall, faceless, as if he'd been walking with us the whole time. We tried to forget. We moved apartments, stopped hiking, but 2 weeks ago, Leah woke me at 3 a.m., pale and shaking. "He was standing in the hallway," she said, watching the mirror. I got up. There were bare footprints on the tile leading to the bathroom, where the mirror was fogged, and in the center, written in the condensation, "Still wearing you." Last night, I had a dream. I was walking a ridgeline at dusk, the sun behind me, and I couldn't feel my face. Just smooth, cold skin where it should have been, and in my chest, hollow. No heartbeat, only wind. Next time you see a faceless man at the edge of the woods, don't stare. Don't run, just turn away. Because if he chooses you, he'll wear you until you're nothing but echo.
Second story.
My aunt always said, if you find a cabin in the woods with a candle still burning, don't go in. It means time got stuck there. I thought she was being poetic, until I walked through the wrong door. I was on a solo trek across a left part of northern Georgia's Appalachian backcountry. I'd planned for days off-grid. No signal, just topo maps and my compass. The trails were rough, mostly game paths and old moonshine routes. On the second evening, after losing daylight faster than expected, I stumbled across an old logging road. Overgrown, barely visible, but better than bushwhacking. I followed it for about a mile when I spotted it through the trees. A cabin, small, worn but intact. No modern construction, real old. The wood was silvered and split with age, but the windows weren't broken. The porch steps still held. I approached, expecting it to be empty. Maybe some animal scat, dust, maybe a raccoon nest. But the door was ajar, and inside, on the wooden table, sat a white candle, still burning. I should have left then, but I was tired, cold. The idea of a dry roof and 4 walls seemed like a gift, so I stepped inside. It was warmer than it should have been, and quiet. No creaks, no wind through the cracks, just the candle burning low. I looked around. There was no dust, no cobwebs. The bed was made. The shelves were full of glass jars, sealed, unlabeled. Each one held something murky. In the corner stood a coat rack, and hanging from it was a rain jacket and a watch. I stepped over to check it. The minute hand ticked once, then again, and then stopped, even though I could still hear it ticking. I took a photo of the room. My phone said 7:12 p.m. I remember that clearly. Then I blinked, and the candle was taller, burning backward. I stepped back. The door was closed, but I hadn't touched it. I grabbed my pack and reached for the knob, but the window now showed daylight, full, blinding daylight. I turned to the table. The candle was gone. Now there was a bowl of stew, still steaming, and next to it a photo of me standing in the doorway. I screamed, ran for the door. This time it opened. Outside, it was foggy, cold again, but not the same kind of cold. I pulled out my phone battery dead. Even though it had 60% 10 minutes earlier, I ran into the woods. Didn't care which direction. Just ran. Eventually, I found the trail again, hiked until I saw the road, slept in the dirt that night, too afraid to close my eyes. When I got home, I plugged in my phone. There was one photo in my gallery, the cabin interior. Only this time, there was a person in the shot, someone standing in the shadowed corner, wearing my rain jacket, but it wasn't me. The face was wrong. Older, pale, eyes too wide, like they hadn't blinked in years. A month later, I went back to prove it to myself. No cabin, just trees, uneven ground, and a single white candle burned. Halfway, lying in the leaves. I threw it away, but the next night, it was on my kitchen table, still burning. I moved apartments. It followed me now, no matter where I go. My phone clock freezes at 7:12 p.m. every night, then resets, and the candle reappears. I stopped lighting anything, even my stove. But yesterday, I found a second photo in my phone of me sleeping in the cabin, with the candle burning at my side. Next time you find shelter where none should be, don't step inside. Because some places in the Appalachians don't forget, and they don't let go.
Third story.
My grandfather once said, if a mind starts breathing, seal it and never go back. I thought it was just a story until the ground exhaled under my feet. Last fall, I joined a friend, Tyler, on a weekend camping trip near Harlan County, Kentucky. He had family land tucked deep in the mountains, and he wanted to show me an old coal trail that had been shut down for decades. No tourists, no rangers, just forest, fog, and forgotten paths. We hiked out early Saturday, following a barely cut along the ridge. Old rusted rail pieces still poked from the soil here, and their remnants of mining carts long gone. After about 5 miles, we came across a clearing I'll never forget. A large, flat pit was carved into the hillside. At the center, a black opening. A mine shaft. The entrance was wide, framed by rotting beams and a cracked concrete lip. Someone had tried to seal it off years ago, but the planks had been pulled aside. Bent nails lay scattered like teeth. Tyler said his great-uncle died working that mine. They shut it after the last cave-in, he said. But sometimes people hear things down there. I laughed nervously. Like what? He didn't answer. Just said we'd camp nearby. Said he wanted to feel close to it. That night, around 1:30 a.m., I woke to a low, steady sound, like a wind tunnel, but the air was still. It was coming from the mine. I stepped outside the tent, and I felt it. The mine was breathing. A slow, rhythmic exhale, followed by a faint vacuum pull, as if the mountain was alive. Lungs buried deep beneath stone. Then I saw something that made my blood freeze. Tyler was standing at the entrance, not moving, just staring into the dark. I called out. He didn't turn. Then he stepped inside. I grabbed my flashlight and ran after him. The beam barely cut the blackness. I called again, louder, no answer. Just that same inhaling, exhaling, but now faster then, a sound deeper inside. Something not human, a dry, cracked voice. You're late. I ran. I don't remember how I made it back to the tent. I only remember zipping it shut, curling into my bag, and pressing my hands over my ears at dawn. Tyler still hadn't returned. I approached the mine. The breathing had stopped, but on the dirt near the entrance were 2 sets of footprints, Tyler's going in, and a second set bare feet, much larger, dragging slightly, coming out, but no sign of Tyler. I drove into town and reported him missing. They sent 2 deputies and a local volunteer team, but no one would enter the mine. When I asked why, one of them, an older man with a crooked cross around his neck, just said, "That shaft takes more than coal." He gave me a strange look and said, "It keeps what it wants." Breath for breath. 3 weeks passed. I got a call from Tyler's sister. They found a pair of boots at the edge of their family land. Inside one boot was a note, written in pencil. Faded, rushed, just 6 words. "It's breathing with my voice now. I haven't slept well since. Some nights I wake up gasping, like something's pulling the air from my lungs. I can't move. I can't scream, and from the corner of the room, I swear I hear it. That low, steady exhale. Then silence. Then my name. Last night, I opened the voice memo app on my phone and hit record before I went to bed. This morning, I listened. At 2:46 a.m., it captured the following: a long breath, then a whisper. "You left him. Next time you feel the earth breathe, don't wait, don't listen, don't answer. That mind still breathes, and it's learned how to breathe like me."